So let's pretend we were going to augment this kick with something that was, I don't know, beefier, chunkier, whatever it may be. Usually I use the first mic to hit the signal. So the first mic to get the signal in this is going to be the kick in. It's going to be the earliest of all of them in terms of, time, phase, whatever you want to call it. So I'll toss trigger on there. Okay, so let's go to browser.
Oh, trigger.
Let's find this guy.
All right, and we'll go ahead and we'll find the directory. There we go. And I'll just back out to Pro Tools and my Wild Imaginaries. Go, glitch. File samples.
Okay.
There we go. Back to browser, and then we'll do
the
short
3.
one or the long one.
Yeah, we'll do the short one. Okay, so what I would do is I would do this. Well, in Slate, usually I end up putting the retrigger around 50 milliseconds. It tends to work for pretty much everything because not a lot of drummers are hitting things faster than 50 milliseconds between hits. I don't tend to change a lot of other settings. Everything else seems to be fine for me most of the time. Cool. So I don't know if you do. Kenny, do you change a lot of settings in Slate here?
Not anymore. Not since I figured out how to use it the way we do.
Okay. So I think the reason I don't change any settings is because I don't need to. I don't blend in Slate and I leave it on the track. Since I print it to a new track, I can re-EQ, I can compress, I can do lots of other stuff on the other track rather than having to do it in this plugin and hope that this plugin is totally in time.
Right. The only thing I change is retrigger and detail if I need to get a little more or less specific.
Right. Sensitivity and detail and all that. Let's go to a section of the song where it's actually the whole drum kit playing, not just the sample section. Let's go to like marker 3.
There we go.
Cool. Well, that sounds like it's triggering properly. It looks like it's triggering properly. Let's print this to a track.
Alrighty.
So if you want, you can actually just route it back to kick sample and print it to the kick sample track since you already have that there. So let's record on that. Put your fader at unity, please.
Oop, that one. There we go.
Yep. And actually, hold on. Before you do that, turn off that time adjuster plug.
Got it. Killer. Alrighty.
That should be enough right there. Should be cool. Okay.
Alrighty.
Let's disable trigger. And let's route both that kick in and our current track to output 1, 2 so that we can hear them both together.
Okay. So you want me to route this out to 1 and 2?
Yep. And let's move that kick sample track right next to our kick in just so we can look at what it's doing here. Cool. So could you actually disable trigger as opposed to just bypassing it?
Yep.
Thank you. Turn that time adjuster back on. And let's copy the time adjuster down to our sample track. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to zoom all the way in on this kick sample, and we're going to see how latent it is. I can already see that it's late. I can already see that it's late.
Wow.
So this is trigger. This is the latency that trigger puts in. And
this is not any latency that our audio interface setting is anything like that. This is just the latency within Pro Tools, correct?
It's the latency of the trigger plugin.
Gotcha.
So if you just leave your trigger plugin on a track and don't print it, this is what happens. You get it coming back this late.
That's 1,252 seconds. Sorry, samples.
No, samples, yeah. That's quite a few. It's absolutely audible at that point.
Yep.
So let's do a nudge on that.
Alrighty. So the way I learned recently how to set this up is, not by doing that and deleting the track, but do this, and then we're gonna. It was a 1252 seconds I said, so we'll double click on that guy. 1252
samples.
Recently.
Oh, you have to hit enter first.
Ah,
1252, enter. Now you
just
can hit
override.
minus.
we
Boom!
go.
Tough acting to acting. All right, so now you've got your sample and your kick in lined up.
Gotcha.
The time adjuster that you had on your sample there, or on your original kick in, you want to obviously also have on the sample, because now they're lined up in physical space, but any time delay that you have on in the plugin is going to be something entirely different. So the one really interesting benefit of being able to do this is that now our kick sample, which is still record on, by the way, get rid of that and turn off the solo safe, please. Our kick sample is completely clean. There's no bleed of anything else. So if you wanted to compress it with like 16:1 and like a million dB of gain reduction, you can do it and you won't get bleed of anything else. Instead, you'll just get a clean kick that's just absolutely smashed. Now, I'm not saying that's a good idea because it's not, but you have the ability to do it. So, I mean, same thing for snares. So like a lot of people like the sound of a really compressed snare, but then they also want, you know, the open sound of a rattling bottom snare. So what you can do is you can put in a sample of the snare top or of a combined snare sound, time align it up, and then just compress the snot out of it and just blend it just behind your actual snare sound. Because it's an absolutely clean track, you have the option to do something like that and not raise the noise floor, not really fucks with the bleed too much because it's totally clean.